I turned 40 this year, and here's what I learned in my 30s. Lesson 1. Stop learning, start doing. That's when you really learn. Because learning is not useful unless you use it. Crude oil was never useful until we started refining it for use. Similarly, knowledge is useless unless you use it. During my 20s, I was very bought into the idea of lifelong learning and spent a lot of time, money, and effort pursuing many certificates. In addition to those certificates, I also got myself 2 advanced diplomas in fields very different from engineering. However, after I got these diploma, life continued as usual, and I did not make use of the certificates or the knowledge. Needless to say, I have no idea what I have learned today. Learning this, on hindsight, was a waste of time, effort, and money. Similarly, I spent a large part of my 20s reading books on investing. But year after year, I did nothing. And the books just seemed to repeat themselves. Reading these books were useless then, as I did nothing with what I've read. It was just reading. It was only when I started to put money into stocks and bonds that I start to have a flavor of what investing is. If you are like my 20s and early 30s where I just focus on learning and not applying, then stop learning, start doing. Learning without applying is a waste of time. You may be better off watching Netflix. Lesson 2. I learned what is the most important skill. No, it's not programming skills, data analytics, not law, not medicine, or whatsoever. This skill that I'm going to talk about is way more important, and that is learning how to learn. And to go one step further, learning to self-learn. When I was entering university, bioscience was hot, but computing or computer engineering, which was relatively easy to get in during my time. Now things have changed. Computing is now one of the most competitive courses in the university. But whatever course you choose in university today may not be the most important skill to learn. The trendy skill in the job market is always changing. It is more important to learn how to learn to get ahead in life. And even better, learning how to learn by yourself. Since computing or computer programming is red hot now, so let's use this as an example. If you are into computing, different companies use different programming language for their different programs. And as long as you know the basics, you should be able to learn a new language. If you go into Reddit, there are many people who ask, what is the best programming language to learn this year? The truth is, just learn what you need to do what you want. If you want to create iOS apps, then learn Swift programming. If you want to do data analytics, then Python or R. It does not matter. What's more important is to learn how to apply what you have learned. I've learned iOS programming long ago when people are still use storyboard. Today, Swift UI is more popular. Specific skills needed to get something done will always be changing. It is more important to learn how to learn so that you can get up to speed with what you need. Apart from learning how to learn, what's as important is to learn how to self-learn. We are no longer in the era where information is kept, where you need to go for courses to learn. Instead, information is a commodity. You can search on YouTube or even hop onto course marketplace like Skillshare or Udemy, where instructors have consolidated all the knowledge in one place, and you'll be able to learn any skill you want. Being able to self-learn speeds up your progress. If you're always dependent on a person to teach you, then your progress will be slow. Imagine having to sign up for the course, then wait for the instructor to be free or when the course to start. Okay, then attend the course a few times a week for 6 months or so just to learn something. The waiting time from the time you sign up for the course, okay, to going for the course and for the course to end probably takes more than half a year. But if you were to self-learn, you probably could do the same in a month or so. Of course, with self-learning, you are on your own and you need to have the discipline to make sure you do what you set up to do. And this comes the next important lesson that I learned. Lesson 3. Be accountable to yourself. If you are a student, you have homework to submit, tests and exams to take, attendance to fulfill, or you'll face the consequences. As an adult, if you're working, you have to complete your task or face the consequences, whatever it is. But when you're self-learning, managing your money, there is no one to watch over you to make sure you do what you need to do. And often, we slack off. But if you think further, why are you spending more time fulfilling others' goals rather than yours? Just because others are louder than you? Just because others are looking over you? Shouldn't you be living for yourself? So once I understood this, I become more accountable to myself. When I was working, if I help my company achieve certain goals that probably mean nothing to myself, I also make sure that I discipline myself to achieve my own goals at the same time. And the thing I tell myself is, how can I be better to my company than myself? I should love myself more, right? There are many other ways to motivate yourself, but this is how I do it for myself. Lesson 4. Be direct if you want a lasting relationship. Life is short. If you want to build a meaningful relationship with someone, then be frank about what you think or want. I hear a lot of people complaining about the other half not getting what they want or expecting a surprise on their anniversary or birthday, but the surprise did not meet their expectation. And it is not surprising why the surprise did not meet the expectation, right? If you don't say what you want, how do you expect anyone, even the closest one, to know? There's this Christmas story, The Gift of Magi, that tells a story of a young husband and wife and how they secretly buy each other birthday gifts with very little money. The man sold his watch to buy the woman a comb for her beautiful hair, and the woman cut off her beautiful hair to buy the man an accessory for his watch. So, in actual fact, this is a story about sacrificing material possession for people you love. But to me, this story is not about romance or love. It is basically just pure bad communication. If you're close enough to a person, why can't you ask directly what the person wants and let him or her know what you'll get him or her? I find it more comfortable being with someone in the long run when they are frank and direct. There is little surprises or shocks in the relationship since we have communicated and there is no reading in between the lines. Lesson 5. Value people for their actions, not for their words. As I grow older, I find words cheap. Of course, at work, people who talk better get ahead more. People who do more work and do not project themselves as well are less likely to get promoted. But when you're looking at developing a true relationship like friendship or finding a partner in life, it is the things that the person do that matter more than what they say. Talking is easy. In fact, talk is cheap. It requires little effort. Doing requires effort. If someone is willing to do something for you, then they value you more, since it is way harder to do something than to talk. Lesson 6. Value your time. In my late 30s, I probably attend less weddings and more funerals. And it gets into me that life is short, time is limited, and we should spend it wisely. I stop accompanying people for things that I don't find meaningful in. We don't need company to run errands. I stopped visiting relatives who, after knowing for more than 30 years, I can hardly hold a conversation. I'll rather spend more time doing things I enjoy or spend time with people I love. I also start to understand that the time I have with my loved ones is limited, and I start to prioritize them over any other unimportant things like pure socializing. Lesson 7. Alone is not lonely. And if you are an ISTP like me, alone is joy. I am quite skeptical that people need to be surrounded by others to feel engaged. It really depends on your personality. And as an introvert, I enjoy activities that I can do alone rather than being with others. I find happiness mastering piano pieces, challenging myself to do things in a certain amount of time, and so on. And I can do that hours after hours without feeling bored. However, if I were to meet up with my friends, after maybe 1+ hour, I realize that our conversations start to revolve around the same thing, rephrased in different manner, and I start to get bored. So sometimes being alone is not a bad thing. You just need to enjoy the process and have things to do while being alone. Of course, in order to be happily alone, you need to pick up hobbies or activities that allow you to do them alone, not dependent on others. Like playing badminton, you need two people, so probably that would not be an activity that you can do alone. But there are many things that you can do by yourself. The thing about being able to pursue activities you like alone is that you can do it when you want and not need to schedule back and forth to accommodate everyone's schedule. Also, doing it alone allows you to do the activity exactly the way you want. Lesson 8. Focus on your strengths. In this book, Success is a Choice by John Maxwell, he says that we should focus on our strengths, not our weakness. And I like this quote very well. Focusing on weaknesses instead of strengths is like having a handful of coin, a few made of pure gold and the rest of tarnished copper, and setting aside the gold coins to spend all your time cleaning and shining the copper ones in hope of making them look more valuable. No matter how long you spend on them, they will never be worth what the gold ones are. Go with your greatest assets. Don't waste your time. There are things that we can try very hard but only do a bit well. But there are some things that we just need to put in a little effort and see a lot of rewards. Head for your strengths. Take me for an example. I don't enjoy talking excessively to people about non-technical stuff. So if you want me to do a presentation analyzing technical stuff, I'll do great with that. However, if I were to try to do a sales talk or the established client relationships, I'll find it very tough and will struggle in my job. And I was glad that I focused on what I was good at. And while I was working, I was able to secure a 5-digit salary. If I were to focus on building people relationship in my job, I'll probably do badly and would be paid mediocrely. But because I focus on my strength, which is technical, I am worth more. The path to success is not a singular one. There are many paths. And by your 30s, you have tried enough to know what your strengths are and leverage on them to go further. Stop listening to others who say you should work on your weaknesses. Instead, try to bypass or outsource your weaknesses as much as you can. Don't waste your time. Lesson 9. You are in charge of your great life. What's a great life? There isn't one. But what's your great life? You need to figure it out. The 20s and the early 30s are the time where you experiment with life, figure things out. Since you now have more autonomy, you don't need to ask your parents or teachers for permission to do things. And once you truly know what sparks your interest, what makes you happy, then move towards that. You don't owe anyone anything to live the life you truly want. Should I get married? Should I have kids? Should I upgrade my home? Should I aim for success at work? Should I retire early? I have the final say because I am the master of my own life. Lesson 10. Don't delay gratification too much. We always look at learning to delay gratification as a plus point. And there are studies that shows that children who learn delayed gratification tend to do better in life later on. However, there should be a limit to delayed gratification because life is limited. Time is limited for each of us. Don't keep saving and not spend. No one will value your hard-earned money as much as yourself. Spend it on things that you want. There are some companies that allow a lot of leave accumulation, and over the years, those long timers tend to have so much leave. But what's the point? Money is less valuable with time due to inflation. Similarly, experiences also get less fun with time because of aging. There's a difference between going on a holiday when you're younger and fitter than when you're older. Start using some of your time to enjoy life now. I went to Okinawa recently, and when I was entering the caves, there were some elderly with walking sticks who actually walked back as they felt they could not take the walk. Probably they could have enjoyed the walk 5 years ago. Don't wait. Do it now. Lesson 11. There is no perfect plan. Plan for the important things, cover the lower probability events and the less important ones with backup plans. There is no way you can plan for every single scenario. And if you want to plan for every single scenario, you will never be able to move on. When I decided to quit and go for an indefinite sabbatical, people told me to work for a few more years, save more, and so on. However, I decided it was time. It was time. Will my money run out? I may never know until the event is approaching. But when money runs out, I'll just need to activate my backup plan. Just because something doesn't work doesn't mean it is the end of the world. There are always other ways around it. Don't make yourself think that there is no choice in life. You can't plan for every single thing. You just need a plan that covers the critical things and have a backup plan if things don't work. There are always other ways out in life.